Hi everyone, I'm Ashley, owner designer at Kismet Crochet. For today's video tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make this chunky knit look beanie. I absolutely fell in love with the herringbone ribbing stitch when I was making my Everygirl Chunky Cardigan, and I really wanted to create a cozy winter beanie using this stitch. This beanie works up super quick, and depending on how fast of a crocheter you are, you could really whip this up in a few hours or an afternoon. It's an easy, repetitive stitch throughout the entire hat. It's going to be worked flat from side to side, then seamed up the side, and then cinched closed at the top. And then you add your favorite pom for your finished look. The PDF pattern includes the sizes from 1-year-old to adult large. And for this video tutorial, I'm going to walk you through all the steps needed to create this beanie. However, for exact row and stitch counts, you'll want to reference your PDF, which will be included in the description below. For the chunky knit look beanie, we're going to be working with this Lion brand Hometown yarn. It's a 100% acrylic yarn, super bulky number 6. And for today's tutorial, we're going to be working with the colorway Tampa Spice. And I really like this yarn because it has a slight sheen and it really just glides nicely on the hook, but really you can use any number 6 super bulky weight yarn that you choose. You're going to need scissors, a yarn needle for weaving in those loose ends. And for this number 6 bulky yarn, we're going to be working with a number 10mm crochet hook. And then lastly, you're going to need a pom. Whatever pom that you prefer. I like these super bulky 6-inch fur poms. I think they're really fun with this chunky knit hat. And the one that I'm working with does have an elastic loop. Some of them come with snaps, but if you do have one with an elastic loop, you'll also want a button. And for the button, I recommend probably about 7/8 of an inch to 1 1/4 inch diameter. So go ahead, gather your materials, and we'll get started. For your chunky knit look beanie, go ahead and take your yarn and make a slip knot on your hook. And for this tutorial today, we're going to be working with the adult small size. Once you have that slip knot, go ahead and chain out 22. Okay, once you have your 22, we're going to be turning the chain towards the back because we're going to be working in these back bumps. So skip the first chain on your hook and go to the next one, working in that back bump. We're going to insert our hook, turn over, pull up a loop, and pull all the way through for a slip stitch. We're going to do a total of 6 slip stitches. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 'There's one more for 6. Now the next one, you're going to insert your hook in that same bar. We're going to be going those back bars. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and single crochet. Now we're going to be working linked single crochet in the next 11 stitches. So for linked single crochet, we're going to insert our hook under this vertical bar of the single crochet we just made. Continue, go into that back bump, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Go through that vertical bar, catch that back bump on the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. So we're going to continue this for 11 of those linked single crochet stitches. Okay, so this is my 11th. Now that should leave us 3 left, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to be working a slip stitch in those last 3 chains. This is a little bit slow going just for this first row because we are working into that back bump, but don't worry, after this will go quicker because it'll be easier to catch. So we made it through our first row. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And this chain 1 is not a stitch, it's just a turning chain. Now we're going to, after this, in every row from here on out, we're going to be working in the back loop only. So turning and going in the back loop, we're going to slip stitch in those first 3 stitches. Next, we're going to work 1 single crochet and then linked single crochet in the next 11, working in that back loop. These are a lot easier to catch than that bar on the chain. Okay, so that's 11. That should leave us 6 at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we are going to slip stitch in those last 6 stitches. Okay, when you get to the end, chain 1. Again, this does not count as a stitch, it's just a turning chain, and turn. Okay, we're going to keep repeating this, but I'm going to work a couple more rows with you. So same thing, back loop only, slip stitch in the next 6. Single crochet in the next, and then a linked single crochet in the next 11. Okay, and that leaves us 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to slip stitch in those last 3 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, so slip stitch in those first 3. Slip stitch in the, single crochet in the next, and then linked single crochet in the next 11. So you can see how this is a real repetitive stitch, and it'll go really quickly. It's really fun and really quick and easy to work up. It's really easy to do in front of the TV if you're watching a show or a movie, and I actually am not so great at always counting. So usually I just work these down, and then when I get to the end, I know it's either going to be 3 or 6 at the end. So then I can just count back and see where my last stitch will be. And as long as you're not careful to lose stitches or drop stitches, it works really well. Okay, so I'm coming towards my end. Wasn't really counting, so I'm going to count from the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And looks like my next one I just did a stitch in, so I am good to go to work slip stitches in those last 6. And you can also take a stitch marker if you prefer and just place it there so you know where to stop each time. But it's super easy, especially with this bulky yarn, just to count as you go. So this is going to be your repeat pattern for the entire hat. I'm going to work a couple more rows up, and then I'm going to catch back up with you because I do want to show you what the hat looks like as it's starting to come along. So go ahead and work, let's see, probably about 5 or 6 more rows, and then we'll catch up with each other. So at this point, I've worked a total of 6 rows. So if you've noticed by now, when you're working this linked single crochet in the back loop only, it's going to create this herringbone look, these slanted stitches you can see. So every time you're working on your side, you're seeing these slanted stitches. And inversely, when you turn to the back, it's creating this chain ribbed look. And then together you get these big, fat, chunky ribs that just look really neat and give that knit look effect. But every time as it's facing you, it's going to look like this with those slanted stitches. So right now, 6 rows, it is looking a little wonky, and that's why I want to catch back up with you just to let you know that's okay. This is what it's going to look like at this point. So as I said before, we're working in one long panel from side to side. When we're all done, we're going to turn it, and these 6, and depending on what size you're working on, it may be more or fewer, but these slip stitches are going to be the bottom of your hat. This will be your body, and then right here at the top, those 3 are the crown. So it is pretty weird looking. These are pretty bulky, but it does give that fun look when we're done, and it is incredibly stretchy. So as you see it and you're like, oh, that looks really small, don't worry, it's going to fit perfectly. So if you're at 6 rows around there, and this is what it looks like, you're right on track. And I'll bring out, this one's not completely done, but here's one where I have more rows going. So as you'll see, the bottom ribbing, see how stretchy that is? And big bulky on the body of the hat, and then when we're done, we'll cinch this closed. And it's really just going to give the perfect bulky knit look. And then when we're done, we can add that fur pom, or if you prefer, you can even do a yarn pom. You can change it smaller if you like. But just want to catch up with you and let you know that this is what it's going to be looking like. We're just going to be repeating that stitch, so real repetitive. So work up those rows, reference your pattern, work up the indicated amount of rows for your size you're working on. And then when you're done, catch back up with me, and what we're going to do is we will seam up the side of the hat, and then we'll cinch it closed, add our pom, but I'm going to go through all that with you on camera so we can work it out together. So when you finish all the rows of your knit look beanie, we're ready to seam it up the sides. So the first thing to do is to figure out what's your front and what's your back. So looking at this, right here we know this ribbing here is at our forehead, the bottom of our hat. So is this our front or is this our front? So if we look here at this chain, the ribs are made, you see these are kind of upside down V's. So that is the back. We want to turn it so the V's of the ribbing right here, they come and they're orientated correctly, meaning they look like a normal V. If you look on the other side, they're almost like an upside down V. So we know this is the inside of our hat. So turn it so the front side is facing you. We're going to go ahead and just put a stitch marker on there so we know this is our front, our right side. Then what we're going to do is fold this in half with our right side facing us. We are going to seam up the side right here on the outside, the right side of the hat. So open it up like this with, again, right side facing you, and take some stitch markers, and we are just going to mark this along, just matching it up so we know that we're not skipping stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It doesn't matter where you put them, just to make sure that we get them matched up properly. 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm just going to put a few of these in here. Catch the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so once we have those kind of matched up with the stitch markers, it just helps. So we are going to seam this up the side of the hat, working from bottom to top, and we are going to work with the right side facing us. And again, I'm looking and my V's are orientated properly. So starting here, we're not going to cut off, which is going to be great. We can work this on one continuous string yarn. Find your very bottom, loop right there on that right side, and insert your hook. Go ahead and tighten out the hook that you were just working with. Yarn over, and then we're going to pull through both of these, creating a slip stitch. and then I tighten that. So we're going to slip stitch up this entire seam opening. So next I'm just going to catch this first loop right on the outside right there. I'm going to come to my left side and also grab that first loop, yarn over, and pull through. And these ones here on the slip stitches are a little bit tighter, so they're a little tricky to pull through. But once you get past those and you're working in the body of the hat, it gets much easier. So the next one on your right side, grabbing just that edge loop, yarn over, and pull through. There we go. So working on the right side of our hat with the slip stitch, it's just going to create this chain look that's going to really blend in with the ribbing right here from the rest of the hat. It's just going to look like another one of these chain ribbings. And if it gets kind of loose, that's fine. We can always tighten those up. Okay. Yarn over and pull through all three. Okay, so now I'm at the body of the hat, and it will get a little bit easier. But same thing, we're just going to grab that first loop on the right side on the edge, the one on your left, yarn over, and I do keep this a little tight, kind of holding it. It just helps pull through those, and slip stitch. So just continue this all the way to the top, creating that slip stitch seam. And then I'll meet back up with you at the top, and I'll show you how to cinch that top of the hat closed. Okay, so once you've finished slip stitching that up, you can see how that just blends really nicely. You can barely tell where that seam is, and it really just looks like another one of these big ribs. So now that we're at the top, go ahead and chain one, and take one of your stitch markers and just slip it in that chain one so we don't lose track of where it's at. So we're going to be working on the top now, and we're going to do a slip stitch in every loop after the rib. So let's see. So this chain one is going to count for this rib here. We have a rib here, so we're going to be going into this loop. We have a rib here, so we're going to be going into this loop. Rib here, going to be this loop. So essentially we're going to be reducing it by one. We're going to be kind of skipping every other. But what's really easy to just look for that rib and then catch that loop right after, right to the left of it, all the way around. So again, this first chain is going to count for that rib, which is actually that seam we just did. So we're going to jump right here to this one. And this, I do want you to keep your tension pretty tight because we are trying to cinch in that top of that hat. So here's the next rib. We're going to catch that top one. We're just going to slip stitch all the way around. There's that rib. Oops. Okay, next rib right there. Catch that loop right to the left. And I'm really holding my string tight, tighter than I would, just to keep this row really tight and secure. There's that next ribbing. Catch the one to the left. So just work this all the way around. Okay, we see that stitch marker, so we know we're coming to the end. Here's our last ribbing right there. Go in that loop, and then we are going to slip stitch in that chain one, and that's why I put that stitch marker there, so we didn't lose it. See how it kind of just blended in? It'd be really easy to lose that. So just go ahead, insert your hook and slip stitch right into that chain 1. Okay, we're going to do 1 more row of slip stitches. Again, chain 1 and throw your stitch marker in there. This time we're going to skip every other. So the chain will count for that first one. So skip that stitch and we'll be working the back loop only. So the next one we're going to slip stitch in that back loop. Skip the next one, slip stitch in this back loop. All the way around, skipping every other. And again, keeping your tension pretty tight. So let's work this all the way around. And then slip stitch again to that chain 1 where you marked it with that stitch marker. One more, okay. Come around. And I'm going to slip stitch, but just to that loop right there. I don't need to go through both. Okay. So now, go ahead. I've already cut my yarn because I worked this out earlier. Cut your yarn. You want to leave about 24 inches, close to 2 feet. Cut that and just pull it all the way through. So when you pull it through, you turn it, turns to top, you'll see how we just cinched that up. And it has a nice, really decorative edge trimming. So that's the look we're going for. It really brought that in. Take your yarn tail left and go ahead and thread your big yarn needle. Open it up a little bit like this. What we're going to be doing is going in every other in the back loop, just looping it through. So I'm going to catch this first, front to back, and pull through, but not super tight yet. I'm going to skip the next, catch that back loop, and pull through. So just every other stitch around. Okay, so once I've come to the end, and if you look, you can kind of see it's really loose, but those loop right there, we are just going to pull and cinch that tight, pulling in that hole. Just pull that nice and tight, closing that up. There you go. So once we have that, this is what it's going to look like from the top. Just take your needle and bring it to the inside, right there, kind of where it came out. And just pull that nice and snug and secure. Flip to the inside. Turn this inside out so you can see it better. And now we want to tie it just so that doesn't open up, that opening. So you can tie a knot, you can weave in your ends back and forth, however you like to do it. I'm just going to weave mine in nice and secure a few times. But don't cut this off yet. We're going to use this yarn tail. Okay, so once you've woven that or knotted that, however you like it, you feel it's nice and secure, bring it right to the middle of that opening, right where the center opening would have been. Okay, so now we are going to sew on our button that's used to attach our pom-pom. So right now this yarn needle and this yarn is obviously too big to go through these little buttonholes. So I'm going to take my yarn, and the yarn I happen to be working with is, see, 4 ply. There's 4 threads woven together for this. So I'm going to separate into 2 and 2, just like that. And I'm going to take a smaller tapestry needle just to sew that button down. So once you have your smaller tapestry needle threaded with 2 of those threads from that yarn, take your button and go through one of the buttonholes all the way down. And you want this button to be really centered in the middle of your hat. Insert your needle through the other buttonhole. Pull through. And then you're going to look underneath and really just poke your needle really close to the center because we want to keep that button centered. And bring through to the front of your hat. And tighten that button right there, just like that. So we do, if our yarn and our needle allow, and more, I guess importantly, the button and the buttonhole size, if we can come through and just go one more time, just to make sure it's nice and secure, that would be ideal. So we're going to see if we can get our needle through. A little tight. Okay, there we go. And pull tight, making sure to keep that centered, and then go through one more time to the front. And then I'm just going to poke it back through to the back. Pull it through. And at this point, I'm going to take, kind of catching on there. Okay, I'm going to take the other 2 strands from my yarn and just tie a knot. It just kind of secures it a little bit more. And that'll go right under that button, so you won't see it. It'll just help secure it. Okay, once you have that knot, you can just weave in these loose ends from the button and then trim off. Thread our other remaining yarn tail and do the same thing. Okay, so our button's nice and secure. Now the last thing is to just attach our pom. So turn that back right side out. You can take that stitch marker out. So I think the easiest way to do this, first take your pom and find your little elastic rubber band there. Put it there so I don't lose it. And take a smaller crochet hook. It really doesn't matter what size, just any smaller crochet hook. I turn it to the back where the button is, and I try and come underneath it, but close to the center, and just poke it through to the front, just like that. So when I have that in the front, I just grab this elastic cord, pull it through. You can see this. Have that elastic cord pulled through, and then I just loop it right over that button, just like that. And there you go. Your pom-pom's attached and your hat is complete. So if you turn it, it's almost hard to see. There's the back seam. It's a little bit bulkier, but really just blends in. It's hard to see. But there's your hat. So this is the adult small. So if it seems small to you and you're thinking, oh, that's a child size, don't worry. This has incredible stretch. This is going to be more bulky on the head, but look at this ribbing. It's really going to stretch, and it's not tight. It's so comfortable and soft. It's going to be perfect. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to comment below. Or of course, you can always reach out privately to the Contact Us tab on my website.